I would like to start with a few thank yous this evening. First to Diedrich Allen from MasonWebTV, powered by HCC. He will be live broadcasting tonight's event. I'd like to thank the Faith in Action Hub Center for Seniors for our wonderful venue this evening. I would like to thank the North Mason Community Voice and the North Mason Chamber of Commerce for co-hosting tonight's event. And I'd like to thank the Government Affairs 2018 Candidate Debate Committee. And if you're on that committee, can you put your hand in the air? So make sure to thank these folks. They have put a lot of effort in tonight's debate, going through the actual format that we're going to work on this evening, as well as some questions that we're going to ask the candidates. So thank you very much. A little overview of this evening's event. You also hopefully grabbed a flyer for tonight's debate and for the lineup, how we're going to ask these questions. We're going to bring the candidates up one race at a time, and we're going to be asking them a couple of questions that we have posed. That procedure will be, one question will be asked to a candidate chosen by coin flip. They will have 90 seconds in which to respond to that question. Candidate B will then have 60 seconds to give their response or reboot. And then candidate A will have 30 seconds for a final statement. After that question has been done, we will switch candidates to answer first on the next question. And when we're done with that, we'll ask up the next set of candidates. You may see a gentleman in the front here, Sam, tonight. He will have 2 cards. He's going to be our timer. At 10 seconds, he will hold up a yellow card. That will be allowing the candidates to know they are running out of time, so to finish up quickly. And the red will be to zip it. At this time, I'd like to introduce your debate moderator, Joel Meyer.
Uh-oh.
There had to be one mistake tonight, sorry. Over at this table, we have some 4x6 cards. Those cards are your opportunity to ask questions at this debate. When we have gone through all the candidates, we'll bring them all up at the end of tonight's session. And anyone who has submitted a card, our vetting team is going to go through those questions to ensure they meet 2 requirements, and we'll be able to ask, our moderator will be able to read those cards to our candidates for the questions. The 2 requirements are, one, that it needs to be, you need to circle, obviously, which set of candidates you're asking your question to, and the question needs to be posed in a way that it can be asked to both parties, not directed just as one. So, for instance, if I were to say, Mr. So-and-so, why do you only like blue shoes? That would not work. What you could ask is, what's your favorite color shoes? And then I can ask both parties. So please make sure that you pose your question in that format, and we will collect cards throughout the night, so just hold your card up in the air if you're ready with one, and if you need another, ask, and we have additional cards for future questions. Thank you.
This is going to be fun. So first of all, I'm going to give a bow to technology. Any of you that were here last time and saw me conduct the coin flip for the different candidates, I'm the most uncoordinated person when it comes to they're flipping the coin, and then you got to catch it. Good grief, that's the reason why I was a basketball manager instead of playing the ball. So, even though this is quite a substantial coin, I'll probably dislocate my thumb trying to flip that one. But everything's got an app, doesn't it? And the good thing is I don't have to flip my phone. And if I do, well, that's why I got the extended warranty, right? So as the candidates come up, I'll show them the coin here. Gosh, that's cool. And this is the 3rd one I tried today to make sure it was a good app. So let's start things off. Let's bring the assessor candidates to the stage, Melody Peterson and Patty McLean. And they're labeled up here, if I remember correctly. That's your first test, by the way. Okay, so we randomly, before setting up the roster here, chose the folks that would go in order for the opening statements, but for the questions, that's when we'll digitally flip the coin, okay? Great. So the first one to go, and this will be 60 seconds in an opening statement, will be Melody Peterson.
Okay, thank you. This is great to see so many people out here tonight.
That's the button. 1001, 1002, 1003. There you go.
Okay, did that take off my time?
Just start over.
Yeah, it's great to see so many people here tonight. I'm just really happy that so many people turned out. I'm Melody Peterson, running for Mason County Assessor. I was born and raised out by Spencer Lake, so I've been in the community almost all my life, except for a couple of years I wandered to Oregon, but I came back. I've worked in the assessor's office for over 20 years, beginning at the front counter. I was promoted several times within the office, giving me the opportunity to learn many different skill sets at each position and overall knowledge of the assessor's office. I was selected for the management position of Chief Deputy Assessor, which I held for 7 years before I was elected assessor. I have taken many programs related to the assessor's office and appraisal procedures, and I gained an appraisal accreditation as well as a great overall knowledge of the assessor's office. This will be my 3rd term. Don't plan to do this again, but I appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you so much.
Keep it held. Good evening, and thank you everybody for coming. My name is Patty McLean. I am a lifelong Washington resident, and Mason County has been my home since 1973. I have raised my children here now to get to enjoy all 6 grandkids that live here also. In 2016, I became a school board director for the Merriam Knight School District, which I attended and graduated from in 1988. I am also a member of the Shelton Nimrod Club, and I volunteer regularly at our local Grange and blood drives. I began working in the assessor's office in 1991 as a part-time position. In July of 91, I became a front counter, and I've worked all my way through to the back of the office as a data technician. The general knowledge of all the clerical positions within the assessor's office. Currently, I'm at Grays Harbor Assessor's Office as an accredited appraiser. My knowledge that I've gained there will help me to learn both sides of the whole office. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Patty, since you went second, I will give you the opportunity to call the digital coin flip. How's that sound?
Perfect.
So right now it's on tails.
Okay. Trust you.
Tails.
It is heads.
Oh, boy.
So, Melody, you'll have the first opportunity for this question. You'll have 90 seconds to answer. And then, Patty, you'll have 60 seconds, and we'll bounce back to you for a 30-second close. How does that sound? Awesome. Okay, so do you think there needs to be organizational changes and/or technological tools to provide for accuracy and efficiency of assessments? And if so, give specific examples.
Wow, that's interesting. You know, I would like to do some technological advances, but we're kind of hindered by the amount of money that our office receives. And that is something that can always be used and always make our job better and easier. We do rely on technology quite a bit for what we do. Our software system actually is very dependent on the information that we put in to bring out information or the values that should be with the property. I'm kind of losing it here, but yes, certainly if we had the money, there's so many things that we could do, but we at this point are kind of hindered.
Okay, in 2010, the Mason County Assessor's Office went to an annual revaluation cycle mandated by the Department of Revenue. We did purchase a software system to implement this change, and if it's used properly, this technology is efficient and will result in accurate assessments. I will work hard to train the staff to accomplish this. I will also develop standard operating procedures that are followed year after year. Currently, there is not a procedure manual for the office that promotes consistency. Therefore, policy changes year after year, which results in rushed and unchecked data to meet deadlines. Completing the revaluation early will allow for correct and timely assessments delivered to the taxpayers, along with assisting taxing districts in completing their budget schedules and on time. The system is designed for the field appraisers to enter their own data from the field inspections into the system. Currently, the appraisers turn their data in to the sorry, turned into data technician for actually more work.
And Melody, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't aware of that question earlier. I should have read my email. But yes, and the reason that the data tech is doing the data input is because we've had to rebuild every parcel, and we found it too time consuming for the appraisers to do that job. We have made changes to the appraiser's duties, and actually that has given us better consistency in land values, and we have finished our physical inspections on time or a little bit early the last few years.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll go to a 90-second answer from you, Patty, to this question. How would you best explain the difference between a tax assessment and the real estate sales value of a property?
That is a good question. Tax assessment is based on a timeline that we have to stop looking at sales from a certain year in order to research it for the following year. So basically, your 19 value notices that just went out in the mail were based on sales that we had to stop looking at 18 and older. And we review it in 18 for your 19. You can clearly see it can go out of market pretty fast. We cannot use current sales as a fee for real estate sales.
Okay, and that's just basic appraisal practice for mass appraisal, that we do have to use sales that were in the prior year. As you've all noticed, and you've probably seen that reflected in the change of value notices that you just received, that our values are continuing to go up. As long as someone is willing to pay more for a property in a given neighborhood, the value of that property is all going to go up within the neighborhood. We do make exceptions for depreciation on your home, and of course we add in square foot, quality and condition of the home. So those are all factors that will factor into the value in the end.
Well, working down in Grays Harbor right now, the market is really hot, so everything is going up. People have actually called the office kind of wondering why it's going up so high, and I tell them when I'm out in the field, I just appraised a house. I brought it in at $106,000, and it sold a week later for $159,000. So you can clearly see how fast they move.
Does it? Oh. Thank you.
There we go. Our next position is for Auditor. And so Patty McGuire and Charles Rhodes, please come up. I'm glad I have a chair up here. I feel like Dick Cavett. And thank you for getting that, by the way. Great, thanks, guys. Okay, so in the order that we have here, we have Patty and Charles listed here, so you'll have the first opportunity to speak. A 60-second opening statement.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. My name is Patty McGuire, and I'm running for Mason County Auditor. I have been an elections official, done elections work for almost 20 years. I was Deputy Secretary of State in Oregon, oversaw the implementation of vote by mail there. The first time in the history of the U.S. A general election had been conducted entirely by mail. I oversaw. I later moved on to become Deputy Director of the Federal Voting Assistance Program. That's the part of the Department of Defense that works to make sure that service people and their families and citizens living overseas get to vote wherever they are in the world. I've managed budgets about the same size as the Mason County budget when I was Deputy Secretary of State. I managed a $44 million budget, 200 employees. So I understand the scope of this job and I'm prepared to do it.
And so Charles, your turn.
Yes, my name is Charles Rhodes. I'm running for Mason County Auditor. I graduated from college in 1978. I started in 1980 with All Pro Tax and Accounting. I've been, of which I own it currently. In between that time, I was a state advocate for disabled American veterans. I represented people who were discriminated against in the workplace that are, both veterans, their dependents, and active duty. I now currently own Olympic Process and Investigative Services, where I'm a fraud examiner, certified fraud examiner. I was an accountant for, 39 years. And now I deal in white-collar crimes as well as service of process as well. So that's thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, once again, here's the coin that we'll be flipping.
Cool.
You'll notice that it's on the tails. And Charles, since you went second, I'll give you the opportunity to call.
Heads.
It is tails. So on this question
Lord
here,
have mercy.
excuse me. So you'll have 90 seconds to answer this first question, then we'll go to you, Charles, for 60, and then wrap up on 30. And so the question is, explain how your experience will help in the modernization or improvement that will benefit the wide range of internal and external clients served by the auditor's office.
Thanks, that's a great question. As Deputy Secretary of State, I oversaw the largest IT project in the history of the state of Oregon to be completed on time and on budget. We built a statewide voter registration system that brought about 2 million Oregon voters from 36 separate county databases. And I use the term database loosely because some counties, the database was cards in file drawers. And we brought all those together into a single statewide database. The database that we built in Oregon went on to be implemented in 8 other states around the country. It's a great product. And to my knowledge, at least as far as publicly known, it has not been hacked. It hasn't, no denial of service. It's worked really well. So I come from a long history of implementing IT projects and doing them well and on time and on budget. You know, there are a broad cross-section of customers in the auditor's office, the financial industry, and I'm running out of time, the financial industry, but I bring a strong sense of customer service to the job, and we'll be prepared to do it at the beginning.
Great, thank you. Would you like me to repeat the question, or you got
No,
it
sir.
there? Excellent. Go
Have it
ahead.
written
You have
down.
60 seconds.
Okay. Right now, the county budget is the most pressing issue. The county auditor needs to be actively involved with the entire budget process, from the preparation and presentation of preliminary budget to the commissioners through the adoption of the final budget. The auditor should be an advisory to the commission throughout the entire budget process. I have the experience needed to act in this capacity. Second, upon taking office, I will begin an assessment of the various procedures within the auditor's office, and with input from the staff and the public, identify inefficiencies and work towards resolution to serve the community.
So, as I mentioned, I've managed budgets in the government sector for 20 plus years. I understand the budget process. I can look at a budget and see what's real and what's not real. And I'm also cheap and will bring to the job a frugalness and never forget that the dollars we're spending, people worked really hard to earn.
Great, thank you. So you get to be the first to answer the second question. We'll stay in the budget mode. How's that? Awesome. So what steps would you take if you had a department which exceeded their budget authority?
Wow. I would probably look at ways that I can adjust the other line items, or I would end up having to cut that service as the auditor.
So I think the important thing, the important role of the auditor here is not to let that happen. To get out front, to keep an eye on spending, and so that if spending is happening too fast, you can talk to the managers, you can talk to the elected officials who manages the budget, and let them know, and make it clear that they're on a pace that's unsustainable, and that limits are going to have to be put in place, or very dire things are going to happen. I think a good auditor keeps that from happening.
Excellent. And you have 30 seconds to wrap it up.
Okay. Right now, we're consistently over the last, I had the privilege of looking at the last 5 years of state records, results of auditing. We found some inefficiencies. I looked at some of them. Some of them are going to have to be corrected. Some of them are going to have to be corrected internally, because there's a lot of external as well as internal inefficiencies. Thank you.
Great, thank you, and thank you, both of you, for being here tonight.
Yeah.
Give a big hand. Thank you. And our next position will be County Commissioner District 3. So I don't need to get out my level to make sure that these signs are perfect? I've got a level on here too. Oh yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so as we went through and randomly chose the starters on each of these, Kevin, you have the opportunity to give the first 60-second opening statement.
All right. Hi, my name's Kevin Schmelzen, and I'm running for Mason County Commissioner. There are people who talk a lot, and there are people who take action. And as long as I've been in the Mason County community, I've been taking action for Mason County. As Community Engagement Coordinator at Mason Conservation District, as an active board member and eventually elected Vice President at United Way of Mason County, and as founder and leader of Shelton to the Top, a grassroots movement which worked in the greater Shelton area with over 250 community members, over half those under the age of 25, to remove over 250,000 pounds of trash from the greater Shelton area. Thank you.
Okay, and go ahead and hit the button there. And Sharon, you have 60 seconds also.
All right, thank you. So I'm Sharon Trask. I'm running for Mason County Commissioner. Currently, I work for the Washington State Legislature. I've been there for 7 years. 6 of those years I worked with the leadership. My boss is heavily involved with the budget, which I'm sure you know is part of the main focus of the county commissioners. So I've been able to help and learn that process. I'm also a mother of 3, grandmother to 5 and a half. I'm currently a business owner with my husband, and I know the difficulties businesses have to run the business. We need to keep those businesses interested in Mason County so that they can help us increase our revenue. I'm also a paralegal, and I am also a member of the Turning Point Board.
Thank you. And Sharon, because you went second, you have the opportunity. This is heads right now. You have the opportunity to call.
All right, tails.
Tails is the call. Let's see what we get here. And tails is what we have. So you'll get a chance to have the first answer to this question, 90 seconds. If elected to the position of County Commissioner, you'll be responsible for developing and administering a budget of over $30 million. What, in your estimation, is the best way for you to prepare for this task, and how are you doing that right now?
Thank you. I like this question. All right, so my husband and I, we've owned several businesses in the past. However, in order for me to truly understand the county budget, the needs of the various departments, and our citizens, I've attended the Citizens Advisory Budget Committee or Commission meetings since June. During those meetings, each department head will tell us about their department, tell us about their needs, giving us a brief summary. And it's been quite an education, and it's providing me a lot of insight into what the departments need and what our citizens need. This is not something that should be taken lightly. As a county commissioner, you need to know what the budget, what's entailed. Each candidate was encouraged to go to the meetings to help them prepare for the job. And additionally, I've attended other meetings, TIPCAP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program Citizen Advisory Panel. That's a mouthful. Economic Planning for Shelton, Planning Advisory Commissions, and lots of others. I've also talked with the department heads and their employees. And I was also encouraged to read the County Commissioner's Guide and scan the Washington State Association of Counties. My current position is, I'll finish that later.
We'll have 30 seconds to wrap it up here at the end.
Thank you.
Kevin, you have 60 seconds.
All right, I think there's 3 important things for a commissioner to be doing as a candidate, and then as a commissioner to be able to focus on the budget and make sure that we're doing things right. One is to review and understand the current and previous budgets, which I've been doing. But those are just numbers without number 2, which is to meet with office and department heads to find out what their priorities are, what their strategic plan is, what shortcomings they're facing. And number 3, most importantly, a county commissioner has to understand the different communities that are around Mason County, because our communities and the people that live there are not the same. And we need to make sure that we're treating our communities and treating our people the way that they actually want to be treated in their areas. People that live in Belfair don't necessarily want to be treated like someone, or don't want the land use changes to be the same in Tahuya or in Matlock. You know, there's very real differences. You know, before I began to even think about running for commissioner, I was involved in this community. I've been making things happen here. I've spoken at Victor Improvement Club, at North Mason High School over a dozen times, at many of the different community groups here. Thank you very much.
Very good. And you have 30 seconds to finish that thought you had. It looks like.
Thank you, that'll work. So because of where I work, I'll also bring those skills, that education, and also the relationships that I have with the legislature. So I'll be able to bring all of that to Mason County and help Mason County run efficiently.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, Kevin, you get to start this round then. 90 seconds. Other than the budget, what do you perceive as the next most important aspect of the commissioner position, and how should it be implemented or enhanced?
We need leadership. We need leadership big time at the government level. We have communities and people and businesses and groups doing amazing things throughout Mason County. We need our government, especially our county government, to be on board, to be an effective partner. I don't believe that the county commissioner is elected to change the world. I believe that we are hired to help create a culture, an environment, and systems which are conducive to improving Mason County and bringing Mason County forward. You know, we have unfortunately a poor reputation around the region and not enough pride here, especially among our younger generations. From my first day in Mason County, people have been saying to me, why the heck would you move to Mason County? Usually from people my age or younger. And I want to make sure that anyone that moves to Mason County is getting exactly what they moved here for, our beautiful natural environment, our rural lifestyle opportunities, and not the negativity about living in Mason County. I want to make sure that people that are growing up in Mason County are set up for success with skills, experience, mentorship, and a personal and professional network that is going to allow them to succeed in life, to create a better future for their kids than they may have been raised with here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sharon, you have the same question, only 60 seconds here.
All right, that'll work. So I think the priorities of local government are pretty clear. People want to know who's going to fix the potholes, who's going to pick up the trash, public health, and when you dial 911, who's going to show up? So we what I want to do is help work on an economic plan to empower the people to be the success, or to the successors in our economy. When I decided to run for county commissioner, I took a tour of the jail. That was one of the first things that I did. We need to look at alternative things to or alternative ways for jail. We have drug court. I could go into more, but my time's almost up. So thank you.
We already have a lot of amazing things taking place in Mason County. Business groups. We have 2 chambers of commerce, an EDC, 4-H, WSU Extension, United Way of Mason County. We have more nonprofits per capita in Mason County than any other county in Washington State. And we have a lot of individuals making things happen. We need our county government to be an effective and efficient partner. We don't have a lot of dollars to spend, but there's a lot that the county can do to help connect the pieces we already have. Thank you.
Great, thank you both. Kevin and Sharon, good job. I think we have an unsung hero here tonight, and I think we should give him a round of applause. Sam down here, and he is timing this not with his phone, not with a stopwatch, but his wristwatch. I think in the near future, reading a clock and reading cursive writing will be like secret code to those of us over a certain age. So great job, Sam. Okay, this is for the Sheriff's Department now.
How you doing? Right side, thanks.
Okay, so the opening statement, 60 seconds, will begin with Casey Salisbury.
Thank you. I'm Casey Salisbury. I'm a 51-year resident of Mason County, 28 years full-time law enforcement experience, 4 years as a reserve while I was a school teacher here. A bachelor's degree in education from Central Washington University, a master's degree in education as well from Lesley University, and I have a master's certification in administration. I think the most important thing for you to know tonight is that I have the education, training, and experience to be on this, and I passed all the tests that it takes to be a police officer in the state of Washington. I've been reviewed and viewed by 4 different agencies, including the FBI. I'm also a graduate of the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. What you should know about me is I am supported by every former sheriff of Mason County. I am supported and endorsed by every sheriff in the region around us. I'm by 21 other sheriffs in the state of Washington, and the Washington State Troopers Association and the Fraternal Order of Police of the state of Washington have endorsed me.
Great, thank you. Darren.
All right, thank you. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Great turnout. I think it's really important that people get to know who they're voting for and who's stepping up to the challenge, because it takes a lot to make yourself a part of a campaign. And so please thank a candidate here tonight. My name's Darren Holland. I grew up in Montana, been a Mason County resident since 2010. I'm a retired Army combat veteran, and I love this community, and I decided to make it my home and raise my children here. This is not a job for me, this is a calling. And I have been addicted to serving my community my entire life, and to me this is another opportunity to serve you, the citizens of Mason County.
Now, since you went second, I will give you the chance to make the call. This is heads. Awesome looking. Okay, so.
Heads.
Heads is the call. And heads it is. So, your first question, and we'll give you 90 seconds for this, Darren, is how will you work with county leadership to best provide for the needs of the residents of Mason County?
All right, thank you. Throughout my career, I have been in so many situations to where I've had to learn to work with everyone from all walks of life. Even through my business as a realtor, I work with everybody. It doesn't matter where they come from. And you build reports, what you do if you want to succeed. And I have met with the leaders of Mason County, and I already feel like I have great rapport with them. And I think the most important thing is that when you have meetings with them, that you yourself show up. It's important not to send a staff member to show up in your stead. And when something happens that doesn't work out the way that you hope, you take responsibility for those actions. You don't point fingers, you don't blame others. You work as a team, because that's what this community needs, is a team of leaders that care about the citizens.
Thank you, Casey. The same question.
Thank you. Well, in viewing with the others, I've been working recently with Commissioner Kevin Schutte and the group out of Grace Harbor County to work on the possibility of a new regional jail. And we worked very closely with them. Recently, Public Works was one of the first times Public Works has ever been involved with the sheriff's office. We had a crime scene issue that they were involved with, worked very closely with them. Most recently, working with the health department on the opioid issue and the people in the area regarding with mental health. I think when you're thinking about being other places in the state, that you're being called upon to speak before the governor's office and the Senate and things like that. There are times when your experience counts and you're being called to drive all the way to Spokane to have a meeting with a congressman. I think there's value in that. There's value in that for our community. And I have designated people that are some of the brightest people in the business that can take my position and step in there and make those calls and those answers for me. And as a sheriff, the whole reason that you have those chiefs is you have 100% belief in what they do. And I have that within my staff.
Thank you. And Darren, 30 seconds to wrap up.
All right, thank you. Like I said, it takes a team of leaders to lead a community towards positive change. And I truly believe it's time for change. Over the course of the last 6 months or so, I myself have gotten fed up and tired of seeing the finger pointing, seeing the excuses, because for you, there should be no excuse but to give you the best service that you need to protect your family, your residents, and your business.
Great, thank you. And now we'll move on to the second question, and Casey will have the first shot at this at 90 seconds. Frequent comment regarding lack of arrests in Mason County is our jails don't have capacity. Besides building a new jail, what in your opinion is the most viable solution to finding space?
I think what you need to do is look at the state law. I've gone over this time and time again. RCW 3934-180 tells you that the county government or the city government is responsible for building a jail, not the sheriff. This has been a problem since I graduated from high school in '81. The jail was built in '86 and it was full. There have been not amendments to take care of that since then. I think over 30 years should have time to take care of that problem. The RCW states that if you cannot, that you must put people in jail upon arrest. If you cannot do that, the county must outsource to another agency. We were doing that. We brought our crime rates down until we were cut by the Board of County Commissioners to not outsource anymore. The law says they are to be providing that, not the sheriff. So please read the RCW and understand exactly what's supposed to be happening in your county.
Thank you. Darren, you have 60 seconds.
All right, thank you. I believe as a sheriff, it's your responsibility to make your voice heard so that people understand that you can do more with less. I went through a tour of the jail recently, and I seen a lot of inefficiencies there. And although that jail was built in 1985, and it was a great design for that period, it no longer is efficient, but there's things that can be done to make it better. There's moves that can be done to free up space, because nobody wants to see someone that deserves to be arrested and taken to jail just released, or even worse, not even picked up and taken into custody because of jail capacity. It's important that our streets are safe and that we are working the most efficiently as we can to put those people that need to be in jail and stop using the jail as an excuse of why we're not doing our job.
Thank you. And 30 seconds to wrap up. Casey.
4 major studies over the years since the 1980s have told us that the jail is too small. That jail is used to the absolute capacity that we're allowed to use by law, by the law of the fire department, what we can have in there, as well as what was recommended by the PREA standards of the state of Washington and the federal government. If we exceed those standards, we will be sued. I keep the jail in a position at the least liability for the citizens of Mason County, and we are using it at maximum capacity.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, both, and appreciate your time. And a reminder to the candidates and for those here tonight, at the end there will be the opportunity to ask questions from the audience. that you fill out. If you need a card, see the charming ladies over here and ask them for one. And all candidates, by the way, at the end, you'll all come up here and we'll have a roving mic that you'll be able to answer those specific questions. And make sure that the questions you have, you say what position you're asking the question of, and make it for the position so that both can answer the question. Excellent. Gentlemen, come on up. This is District Court. Okay, so taking a look at how it was set up here on the come through, Eric Valley will have the first opening statement at 60 seconds, and George, you'll have the second at 60 seconds, and Sam down here will be the guy to be watching out for. And it's all yours, Eric.
I gotta set my timer here.
There goes 5 seconds right there.
No, starting now. Ready, go. Hello, good evening. My name is Eric Valley. Thank you all for being here. I see friends, family, and supporters. I am a 57-year-old trial attorney and a fourth-generation resident of Mason County. I believe that I am the best and the better candidate to be our next Mason County District Court judge. I'm a 1979 graduate of Shelton High School, and I graduated from a top 20 law school where I was on the law review and in the top 10% of my class. I've appeared in state and federal courts for the last 32 years. I have practiced law in every court in Mason County, including Shelton Municipal Court and Mason County District Court, for the last 25 years. I know how to run a court, and I know how to command a courtroom. I have 10 seconds left. I am perfect for this job, and this job is a perfect fit for me, and we'll hear a little bit more about why that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you. And George.
Thank you for having us. We are here tonight to share our judicial experience, our backgrounds, and compare our qualifications. As a municipal court judge for almost 10 years and a judge pro tem for almost 20, I can guarantee you that the court system is critical to the future of our county. Very soon, you have a decision to make. I am grateful to those who already decided to support our campaign, like our current District Court Judge, Victoria Meadows, like the Fraternal Order of Police, Olympic Mountain Lodge number 23, the Shelton Police Guild, attorneys Stephen Greer and John Bonin, and many others. They give me their support because they know our track records. They know us. I care about the courts, and I care deeply about our community. I am here tonight to share information with you and ask for your vote to continue to serve our community as your next District Court Judge.
Great, thank you. Okay, so since you went second, George, you get to choose. This is heads, by the way. Right there, Eric. There's heads for you there. Good old George smiling back at you.
Right.
Okay, what would you like, heads or tails?
Heads will be fine.
Heads is the call. And it is tails. So, Eric, you'll have 90 seconds to answer this question, 60-second response, 30-second follow-up. So here we go. The district court judge hears cases that cover many issues. The judge is also a department head for an important county office. As an administrator, especially in these times of frugal county budgets, what do you think are the important qualities you will bring to this office?
Thank you. So the time starts now. Here we go. The important thing is to be and to have been a member of this community, to be an ambassador for justice and, frankly, an ambassador for district court itself. I know the court, I know the structure, I know the budget, I know the difference between municipal court and district court, and those differences are vast in scope. Threw me there for a second, but what we do is, as attorneys is think on our feet. The budget is largely fixed. The budget for Mason County District Court is roughly $1 million. It's $900,000 in salaries and benefits and roughly $1,000 in supplies. So what one needs to do is to be an active member of the community, to be out there every day, all day, every day. So when it comes time to seek new staff, and there hasn't been new staff in there in 20 years, Muni Court's got 1.5 clerks. District Court has 7 clerks. They need more. They've had that same number. So when it comes time, I know Casey Salisbury, I know the other county, I know the county commissioners, I know the process, I know what it takes. And exciting things are here in Mason County. I loved hearing Casey mention the new regional jail. I predict there will be a new regional justice center in this area in the next 12 years, and I want to be our district court judge for the next 12 to 16 years. I have endorsements of family and community members, people who have known me and my family for the last 3 generations. Kathy Burleson, the late Gary Burleson, our revered former county prosecutor. That's who's supporting me in this election. Thank you.
As a judge for nearly 10 years, I already know what it's like to be working on a shoestring budget and keep a court operating efficiently. We have 2 clerks, by the way, not 1.5. It's not an easy task, it's always a struggle, and district court has its issues as well. District court faces a situation where its clerks do more work than their counterparts elsewhere and less pay. And that's causing a staff turnover. And that's a problem because it costs to have to keep retraining people. We need a credible incarceration option to make the sentencing probation alternatives work, alternatives which I support. I have experience in protecting our budget and advocating for it, and it's not an easy task. This job requires experience. Only one of us up here has any whatsoever. I will use that experience to advocate and ensure that the court is able to carry out its functions.
Thank you. And Eric, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. So the battle is joined. The choice is before you. The next candidate for Mason County District Court Judge. It's a specious argument to say that because one has done a job for X number, well, first off, municipal court's a part-time job. It has 1/3 the budget of district court. It takes in 1/10 the amount of fines and penalties. It has 1/5 the number of cases, roughly. It does 1/3 of the number of things that Mason County District Court does. And apparently that's all the time I have. Thank you all very much.
Okay, so we go to question number 2. George, you'll have 90 seconds for this one. In a small community, it can be difficult to preside over the residents in which you may have a personal history. Please describe for the audience your judicial temperament.
Well, my judicial temperament is real simple. I'm fair and impartial to everyone that comes before the court. That doesn't mean I'm always lenient on everybody, but it does mean I'm fair and impartial. If I do know people, I tend to recuse myself because I don't want there to be any question as to whether my knowledge of those individuals is going to affect the judgment that I make in the case. The fact is, I firmly believe that a court is there to apply the law. I believe that you have to apply the law to the evidence presented in the case and make a fair decision, and I've done that. I've done that over and over again for the last 10 years as a municipal court judge and also as a judge pro tem for district court, which actually I was there today. The fact is, having experience doing a job is not a specious argument. Far from it. I would suggest that I have something to bring to the table, and that is experience. And only one of us left in the race has it.
Thank you. Eric, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Fair and impartial, respectfully, is not a temperament. It's a quality. It's what any judge is, so it's not adding to the discussion. Judicial temperament, I guarantee you, you will not hear my opinion from the bench. You will hear the opinion of the court. I will not yell at a person to remove his or her hat. That happens in Shelton Municipal Court. I will not embarrass people from the bench. I will not say, and this violates the Code of Judicial Conduct, I will not say to a person when I'm sentencing him or her for third-degree theft that I don't like thieves. These are all things that one of us does, and I will never do any such thing. I will treat people with dignity and respect while holding them accountable. Thank you.
And you get to wrap up this question, George, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Fact is, I do uphold decorum in the court. Unfortunately, my opponent hasn't listened to the full spiel. When I tell people I don't like thieves, the fact is, those are people that are convicted of theft, and I want to let them know I'm serious. I don't want them coming back on more thefts. In other words, I want people to know where I stand. That's why I sometimes lecture people. It's not to embarrass them. It is simply to let them know where we stand, and I will keep my word, and I have.
Thank you both.
Thank you all.
At this point, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'll let you know when 4 minutes are up so you guys can get back into your seats, but then we'll come back with the legislative. All right, thank you. We're moving right along. And I'm going to turn this right back over to Mr. Joel Meyer.
Thank you. And both candidates, when you want the microphone to come on, just press the little button in the middle. Count to maybe 1002, 1003. There you are. How's that? Okay, so in keeping to the random selection we made before showing up for state senator, we have Tim Sheldon and Irene Bowling. And Tim, you were selected to go first for 60 seconds opening statement.
Okay, everybody here tonight. It's really a good turnout. Shows what Mason County is all about. We get involved. I'm your state senator, Tim Sheldon. I've done that job in the legislature for 28 years. I'm the longest serving legislator of the 147. What I try to do is represent you. And I had a long list of kind of accomplishments I thought about, but I can't go through those. But you drove in on a new road out there that's widened. You drove to a facility here that our delegation found the dollars for. We've worked very hard for you for the betterment of Mason County. And I think that we had a lot of accomplishments. I'd like to return and keep doing that job for you for another 4 years. Thank you.
And Irene, 60 seconds.
I'm very delighted to be here. Thank you. I'm a teacher from Bremerton. My family is shipyard workers. I had 2 uncles that were loggers for many years here in Mason County. We live on the Dyes Inlet up there, and we've been in there since the 1930s, so we know this area quite well. And I've raised my family here. I've been married for 38 years and have 3 grown children. The reason I'm running is because I'm extremely worried and concerned about education in our area, affordable health care, which is becoming increasingly impossible to pay for, local jobs, everyone has to drive over an hour to get to work around here, transportation options, which I think have been long and slow in improving, and a healthy environment. This is one of the reasons we live here in this beautiful area. With my education and my background and my passion and my knowledge of all the people here in this area from being a teacher for 40 years, I feel have the qualifications to be your next state senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. So since you went second, you'll have the choice. It's showing tails right now and a sale on shoes. That's cool. Okay, sorry. There's tails right there. Right. That's what you get when use a free app, Maybe I'll just look at pictures of my cat, Rudy. Okay, here we go. At Macy's, by the way. Okay, so call it.
Tails.
Tails is the call, so here we go. It is heads. Okay. And so, Tim, you'll have 90 seconds to answer this first question. And then, Irene, you'll have 60 seconds for follow-up and 30 seconds for wrap-up, and then we'll flip it around. So, Tim, the first question is, if elected, name the number one thing you're going to do or accomplish for Mason County.
As a member, longest-serving member of the Senate Transportation Committee, I also helped to write the budget. 4 of us go into a room on Wednesday and Thursday nights, bring out a budget to present to the committee, and that goes from there. The biggest project and the thing I've tried to protect since 2005, when I first got money for it, is the Belfair Bypass. That's $66 million. I'm the most bipartisan legislator in Olympia. I work well with the Republicans and the Democrats. I don't care who's in charge. And what I've done is work with the Seattle Democrats, for example, in support of their tunnel. I think they're going to pay for it in Seattle, but what they did is they agreed to help me with the Belfair Bypass. And that's how you get something done in Olympia. You work across party lines. And I know that that bypass, when it's finished, it's going to be 2.4 miles. It's going to be from Lake Flora Road to Highway 302. It's going to improve those 2 intersections, which are extremely dangerous. Lots of accidents, especially at Lake Flora Road, serious accidents. It is going to transform this community by taking cars off the road. And when you look at what Belfair has become, it is amazing when you see the differences over the years that I've served. It's the new stores that are in town, the new health clinic that we have here, this building, which we work very hard for. All those things don't just happen. You have to have relationships to make it work. And when you think about it over the years, and I've got a little bit of gray hair to think about it, I think there's been some vast improvements here in North Mason area. So I'd like to continue to do that for you.
Thank you, Tim. Irene, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, I think relationships, I think Senator Sheldon hit it on the head, is what politics is all about. And I must say that the financing of my campaign is almost entirely done, $75,000 worth, by private individuals just like you in the room here. People that want change, that believe that they want someone representing them that is changing things for their betterment. I cannot say the same thing for my opponent, who is mainly funded by the Republican Party, $24,000 they gave to him, even though he runs as a Democrat. And the other issue is huge corporations, pharmaceuticals, and people that are making big, big profits off of all of us. This is why I'm running. I'm running to be one of you because I am one of you, and I'm tired of status quo. Thank you.
Okay, and Tim, you have 30 seconds to wrap this question up.
Well, my challenger says I'm not a Democrat. Well, I'll ask you. You've elected me 10 times to the legislature as a Democrat. I think you know what I am. You know that I'm a statesman, that I work very hard, and you'll know that it's about the Democrats trying to get rid of me because I speak my mind. I represent you. I'm not an urban Democrat. I'm not voting for the gun initiative. I'm not voting for the carbon initiative. They hate that, and they've literally spent millions of dollars over the 28 years I've been in office trying to eliminate me.
Thank you, Tim. Now we'll go to Irene with this question, 90 seconds. Do you believe the McCleary fix to fully fund basic education is sustainable with property taxes alone? And if not, what other tax or revenue source would you support?
I do not think the McCleary situation is solved by any means. I think that it was a situation that was brought about by not paying teachers proper pay for over 8 years, by not funding our schools. Of course, we had the recession that hit us really, really hard, 2008, that caused a lot of havoc in our finances. But I do not think the McCleary situation is solved by any means. I am very concerned about how the money that we do have now that has been apportioned will be spread about. This is why there were some strikes down even in our part of the 35th LD. Teachers pay, if we don't have good teachers here for Mason County and pay them properly and pay them comparable to where teachers are getting paid in Issaquah or Edmonds or other areas of Seattle, we are not going to have the first-rate education that our children and grandchildren deserve here. So I am very, very concerned about the McCleary. I do not think it's solved. I'm not sure that throwing more money at it particularly is correct, but I do think when we do give money, we have to have very specific requirements for how that money is spent. And I do think teacher pay is very, very important. Without good teachers, being a teacher myself, without good teachers, you cannot produce anything. It's like having a great ground, but having a farmer that doesn't know what he's doing. You can't grow a crop out of that, even if the soil is perfect and the weather conditions are perfect. So this is something that I don't think the public knows enough about.
Thank you, Irene. Tim, the same question, 60 seconds.
Well, I supported the McCleary decision. It was a bipartisan solution. The courts forced us to make a substantial contribution to education, over $7 billion in the last 5 years. Now, my opponent said she's an educator. I know you teach music I don't think you teach in the public school system, but teachers' pay has increased substantially. And at the end of last session, the majority party, the Democrats, the Seattle Democrats were controlling. They dipped into the rainy day fund that you created by vote. Before the money got to the rainy day fund, took it out with a simple majority instead of a 2/3 vote, and gave that to the WEA, the teachers union, to divvy up. That's what happened. It was supposed to be for reducing class size, and for the fact we will never have equal pay for all teachers across the state of Washington because our cost of living is much different around the state, and we work very hard to regionalize that and make it fair for everyone.
Thank you, Tim. And Irene, you have the last 30 seconds.
Well, I don't care about the rest of Washington. I care about the 35th LD. And a state senator and whoever is working here and representing you has to fight tooth and nail for every single thing that we get. And I promise, as a teacher and as a parent and as a person who has taught in the public schools, thank you very much, and also taught at Olympic College and has a PhD, I think I know what I'm talking about.
Thank you both, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you, Ken. Irene, thank you. Okay, so we'll have State Representative Position 1 next.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, both Dan and James, welcome. And the 60-second opening statement will begin with Dan Griffey, and then you'll have 60 seconds to follow, and we'll get into the big questions. So, after you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dan Griffey. I am your state representative, a lifelong resident of North Mason County. I've spent 47 years here, a 1989 graduate of North Mason High School. Go Bulldogs. What an awesome football season we have this year. I'm a professional firefighter by trade, and I have served you in that capacity for 27 years. I started as a volunteer firefighter in 1987 where I responded from high school. I've done a lot for this community. I can tell you hundreds of things, but 60 seconds is not a long time to do that. But when Patty Kleist got a hold of me and said, you know what the state does? It taxes us property taxes when we rent our building out. I was able to pass a bill to eliminate that property tax so all that money stays here and it can operate this building. I want to be your pit bull still in Olympia. I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Dan. And James.
My name is James Thomas, and I was not born here. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. I've been on my way to the Pacific Northwest since I was about 20. And finally got here about 15 years ago. I'm here because this is exactly where I want to be. There is nowhere on earth I'd rather be. I own a small business based at the Port of Shelton, and I manufacture medical products. I've gotten involved with the community, just finished 2 years as chair of the Planning Advisory Commission for Mason County, and am currently in the final few months as chair of the Economic Development Council. I'm running because I look around Mason County and the 35th District and I see all sorts of assets, and yet we are lagging behind the state and the nation in unemployment and in wages. We have got to end my talk here.
So since you went second, James, you'll get the opportunity to choose heads or tails. Right now it's showing tails. No ads right now. So call it heads. And heads it is. All right. Okay, so you'll get the first question, 90 seconds, 60 seconds to respond, and 30-second wrap-up. So, sounds familiar, but it is as important as the first time we asked it. If elected, name the number one thing you're going to do or accomplish for Mason County.
Oh my, we have so many challenges facing us and so many opportunities. Selecting one is really pretty difficult. I could spend a lot of time talking about cross-laminated timber or getting hemp started here, but if we're going to talk about one thing most important, I'm going to go back to education. I have spent my professional life in the medical industry traveling around the world. I've lived in China for a couple of years, spent a lot of time in Europe. I know what the next generations are going to face competitively. We need to have the finest educational opportunities that we can. Because we are a relatively poor community here, we don't get the best of those educational options. One of the things that I would propose is something along the lines of a luxury tax, as they do in professional sports, so that wealthy school divisions like Issaquah would be forced to share some of their wealth with less wealthy school districts.
And you have 60 seconds, same question.
Thank you. It is really tough for you to tell me, for me to tell you the one, but I'll start with what I have done. I have passed a bill for 2 years in a row to end the statute of limitations on felony sex crimes, so monsters like pedophiles have to look over their shoulders for the rest of their life and worry about prosecution so people like Casey can put them in prison. I passed an amendment to the Washington State budget to make sure that all the rape kits backlog in Washington State will be tested in 3 years. 3 years. We will have all the backlog done in a database for that. Infrastructure projects, including this building, the senior center in Shelton, I was able to get funding for so it can stay operational, making sure that the Belfour bypass is completely funded and built in the time frame that we have in Washington, that we have set forward. But number one, if you want to know one, I'm still going to be your pit bull in Olympia. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Dan. And James, you have 30 seconds.
And I'm going to say that that Dan has done a wonderful job in a lot of areas in Olympia, but the thing that we need to focus on now is jobs and jobs for today, education and opportunities for tomorrow, and taking care of our environment, which is the most important legacy that we'll pass on to our children. We need to be working to get industries in here that exploit our wonderful resources. Thank you.
There's
Tough
your
in 30 seconds, isn't it?
That's right. Okay. So, Dan, we get to the 90 seconds for you.
Yay.
The Puget Sound Regional Council's Vision 2020 Transportation Plan calls for a vehicle miles driven tax. Do you support this? Why or why not?
Absolutely not. The vehicle miles traveled tax will negatively impact the rural community. Think about how far we have to drive to get to Costco, how far we have to drive to get to different services. That it is going to affect us very negatively. We can't afford it. I will not support it.
James, the same question.
We all live in communities. The way that communities organize themselves is called government, and the way that we pay for that is called taxes. Now, there are lots of ways that we can tax ourselves, and this mileage tax is regressive and unsupportable by anyone. Nothing else to say.
Brevity is the soul of wit tonight, I guess, here. And Dan, you have 30 seconds to add to the question if you'd like.
Yeah, so there is so many things that we can do. When we're talking about the environment, we can actually start doing triple trailers in Washington State. We're talking about transportation. All the states around us do triples. We can reduce the amount of carbon emissions that are emitted by our trucks by doing triples. We can declare hydroelectric power renewable, so our environment is improved. So since I answered the question so quickly, I tried to get one more in. Thank you so much.
And thank you both. Appreciate it. Okay, Drew McEwen and David Daggett, come on up. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Okay, speaking of brevity, one of the requests was that no applause. That gets us through the evening a little bit more quickly and saves your hands. So if people are here working tonight and they applaud and they hurt your hands, Ell and I, no, okay. Great, so we're taking a look here. We have our two candidates, and Drew, you'll have the first opportunity to have an opening statement. David, you'll be second, 60 seconds each. Sir.
All righty. Well, thank you, and thank everybody for being here tonight. It is a pleasure. I'm State Representative Drew McEwen. I've been serving you for the last 6 years in Olympia. I look forward to returning in January. When I ran in 2012, three main issues. That's to ensure our kids have a world-class K-12 education opportunity, that we maintain a strong economy, and that the state government is accountable for your tax dollars. I'm proud to have had legislation signed into law in all three of those areas, whether it's reforming our high school mandated test, reforming L&I, that there were some erroneous rules that they were interpreting that had a great impact on our building industry, and we got bipartisan support to reform that, or reforms in the state VA system that expanded the benefits to all veterans, whereas previously some of them were excluded. And it cut a lot of the red tape and sped up the time that it took for those programs to be administered. Those are just 3 examples, but we still have a lot of work to do. We have additions that we need to make in the K-12 area and maintain this strong economy, and again, make sure that we're accountable for your tax dollars. And I look forward to earning your vote this fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. And David, you have 60 seconds on your opening statement.
I'm an engineer. I worked for Boeing most of my career as a technical fellow, so I like facts. I want to read you a few facts as to why I'm running. PolitiFact: Trump continues to undermine Affordable Care Act. TheHill.com: House Republicans offered a 2019 budget that would cut $537 billion to Medicare and $1.5 trillion to Medicaid. AARP: About 65% of nursing home residents are supported primarily by Medicaid. Meanwhile, Reuters: wealthiest Americans will benefit most from the $1.5 billion tax cut. Fox News: Donald Trump says he will propose new tax cuts prior to November. Washington Post: 63% of those new proposed $100 billion tax cuts would go to people with incomes of at least $7.3 million per year. I want to be, as you will find your health care benefits being cut, I want to be your Democratic voice in Washington State to defend your state-funded benefits, health care benefits.
Thank you. All right, since you went second, David, you'll get a chance to make the call here. This is heads.
That's a 15-yard penalty.
You don't know where this phone's been. Sometimes I wonder. Okay, here we go. So what would you like to call?
Heads.
Heads is the call. Here we go. And it is tails.
Okay.
So Drew, you'll get the first question. You'll have 90 seconds to answer.
Okay.
60 seconds response, 30 seconds follow-up. And if this sounds familiar, it is familiar, and it's a really important question. If elected, name the number one thing you're going to do or accomplish for Mason County.
Yeah, well, as Senator Sheldon and Representative Griffey mentioned, we've had a great working relationship in this coalition and getting things delivered to this county. I'm going to continue to work on that, whether it's our transportation infrastructure or other projects that we need, such as in the city of Shelton, a number of sewer connection projects that have been implemented at over $5 million at not a cost to the ratepayers in Shelton. We're going to continue to work on those projects because when we do that, it drives economic development. That creates job opportunities in our community. And the biggest one that I'm working on right now that we got design money for in the last session out of the capital budget, and this coming session we'll get the initial funding for, and that's to extend the Belfair sewer into Kitsap, connecting the Port of Bremerton and the city of Bremerton. And in doing that, that creates better business opportunities in the port, which will create jobs and provide some benefits to the city of Bremerton as well. That'll be a huge economic driver here in North Mason and in South Kitsap. Additionally, we have a great YMCA that's being put together right now for the city of Shelton. We'll continue to work hard to ensure that we can get capital budget dollars for that. I support that personally and professionally. So those are 2 main projects that'll have an immediate near-term impact positively, both on the economy and in our children in this community. And I look forward to spearheading those opportunities.
Great, thanks, Drew. David, same question, 60 seconds.
The number one thing I hear from people as I'm doorbelling is property taxes are killing us. So I would like to reduce your property taxes. Yeah, that sounds kind of odd coming from a Democrat, but I want to do it fairly. And you know property taxes fund schools. So how can we fund schools and cut your property taxes? Keep in mind that Washington State has one of the most regressive tax structures in the nation. How are we going to address this? One idea, I don't have all of the ideas, but one idea is, what about a capital gains excise fee that is just applicable to the 1%, or those that make more than $670,000 per year? If those dollars went to education, we could lower your property taxes. And that would be a very noble thing for people that are making close to $500,000 a year to do.
Drew, the same question. 30 seconds wrap up on that.
30
On the
seconds.
number one thing, yes.
Okay. Well, to respond to that, we've grown the budget from $34 billion to $51 billion in the 6 years I've been in office. That's 50% over 6 years. You can call it tax, whatever fee you want it. The IRS, the Department of Revenue in our state, calls it capital gains and income tax, and to administer it, our own Department of Revenue would require every one of you to fill out an income tax form in order to administer a capital gains income tax. That's a fact, and once that's implemented, you're going to see the slippery slope. Well, next it'll be $250,000, then it's going to be $100,000, and then $50,000. Before you know it, we're all paying.
Okay, thank you. I heard some applause out there.
That's okay.
Okay, so David, you get the next question in 90 seconds. When the legislature passes a bill which creates an additional expense to a county, how would you propose aiding in the costs of implementing and managing that mandate?
So I'm not a career politician, and I don't pretend to know all the answers. But you know, I worked as one of Boeing's chief engineers, and when I was working there, they put me in charge of designing airplanes. And I thought, I don't know anything about designing airplanes, but I do know how to manage teams. And so when I was in charge of this team of 20-some people, I relied on the experts to say how things should be done. And I worked to get consensus across a group. And I think that experience is going to be very valuable in the state government, in that I'm not going to tell you how it's going to be done. I'm going to listen to you. Isn't that the job of a legislator, is to listen to the constituents, to see what they want to have done and gain consensus across a wide group of people? I think so.
Thank you. And Drew, the same question, 60 seconds.
Yeah, so in listening to the county commissioners in all three counties that this district represents, the unfunded mandates is a big issue. And in Thurston County, one of the issues that they had down there is an inordinate amount of court cases that come through there because of the state capital being there, and they have that first trial hearing on a number of things that can be brought to suit, whether it's administrative or the initiative process. We got additional funding there to help offset that. I'm working to do that right now for Mason County because of our correction center and our women's correction center. We have an inordinate amount of cases that are derived because of events that happen at those facilities. So I've asked the county to get me those figures so that we can backfill that at the state level, because that is the responsibility really of the state. And I cite that as one example where we have something that's occurring that we're not paying for that I feel the state should be. And I look forward to getting that implemented. I look forward to getting those numbers from Mason County so that we can get that as part of the budget. But it's ensuring that when we make a mandate that we're paying for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And David, you get to wrap this up with a 30-second follow-up.
Well, thank you for coming and being engaged in the political process. It really shows that you're committed and you're being informed voters. That's one thing that I've learned in the campaign cycle, is that most voters really aren't that informed. So I have to give you applause for getting involved in your government. And I encourage you to vote, and I encourage your neighbors to vote as well. So thank you.
Thank you both. And we'll be bringing everybody up here for I don't think we'll have everybody on the stage. We'll probably up front here.
Yep, we're going to have all candidates come up here. Please, if you can, stand next to your, so we have races all together.
And the legislative round, folks get a lightning round. Isn't that awesome? Here we go.
Right, you'll go through them, not all.
Okay, let's see. Handheld mic. They're perfectly perfect. All right, we got. You guys are perfect. In every single way. Somewhere, Mary Poppins is probably frowning at me for that. Because she's the only person that's perfect in every single way. Okay, so do we have a, okay, we're still kind of working some stuff out here. Oh, here comes Eric. Right behind him, right there. And I know where that phone's been. Okay, so these are 30-second shots for each position. Each candidate will have a chance at 30 seconds on this. So we'll start with a question to the assessor's office. Gosh, I feel like I'm back in high school doing research with index cards. Okay, to the assessor. So we will start this time with Patty, and then to Melody. So the question is, and you'll have 30 seconds on this, by the way, what steps are required to become a licensed appraiser?
The steps required to become a licensed appraiser, they want you to do 1,000 hours in the field. You have to pass certain classes from the Department of Revenue to qualify for it. I was working in the office for 27 years, so they took 6 months off, so I had to do 500 hours in the field at Grays Harbor before I was accredited, and at Mason County I had taken all the courses required to become an accredited appraiser. Thank you.
There's a difference between a licensed appraiser and an accredited appraiser, and our accredited appraisers are what we use in the mass appraisal process. And yes, you can take an accumulative number of hours from what you've done in the office, whether you're working with conveyance deeds and that sort of thing. I've done a lot of segregation work, which is working with a land, whether it's divided or combined, and also a certain number of hours out in the field, which I've been out in the field quite a bit, assisting the appraisers. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. And now we'll move to Commissioner, and Sharon, you'll have the first chance to answer this question. What are the most important environmental issues that face the county, and how should they be addressed?
Well, I know we have several things. Webb Hill is one that's going on right now, so we need to make sure that we pay that a lot of attention. I'm scheduled a meeting with with ecology, so I've scheduled a meeting with him. He's over the Webb Hill function, and so we have quite a few issues. We've got our shores, growth management. We have several issues that we need to take a look at.
And Kevin Smelson?
There are literally tens of millions of pounds of trash littered throughout Mason County, throughout our forests. Close to homes, away from homes. We are a county that is built on our beautiful natural environment and the rural lifestyle opportunities that provides. We need to make sure that we are taking care of our environment, that we're getting the trash taken care of, and that we're protecting the thing that's bringing people to Mason County to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is for the judge position, and we'll start with George first. When is it appropriate to show leniency, and could you give an example?
I could be here the rest of this evening answering that. Each case stands on its own merits. There's many times I've gone into a case thinking that I should rule in a certain way, and then when I heard everything, I ruled in a much different way. There's all sorts of things that happen. People have already gone through treatment before they get to the point of pleading guilty or what have you. Those are things that would merit leniency. It's a case-by-case thing, and each case should stand on its own merits.
Thank you, George. Eric?
I think equality in a judge, first you have to get the law right, and then the question becomes, what do we do with you now? I think the important thing, I think the most important thing is to be able to relate to people, to be able to understand people, to have empathy, to have compassion, to know what is right. My motto is hard work and personal accountability. It's really easy to see when someone is screwing up. 35, 40 years ago, I heard this Mason County phrase, sliding down the greasy pole. You need to address the circumstance and do the right thing in every instance. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Bringing in the backup. For the auditor position, and in this case we'll start with Charles. The question is, how would you improve Mason County voter participation?
On the excuse me, on the voter participation, what we, as I was doing my tour through that process, we noticed that the voting machines and the voting apparatuses are state of the art. They were just put in there. So at this point, until I actually get into that position, I wouldn't do a thing.
Thank you, Patty.
Ensuring that people are involved in the process can't be more important. I want to work, be in the schools, talking to kids about getting registered. I want to make sure that all the processes are as easy as they possibly can be so that everybody who is eligible to vote has the opportunity to vote. King County has 5 people who work full-time on voter participation. That's not going to happen here, but you're going to have an auditor that works on it full-time.
Great, thank you. And for Sheriff, let's start with Darren here. The question is, would you enforce and direct deputies to enforce unpopular laws? And how many?
Well, this is an easy answer. I will enforce all laws that are constitutional, period.
Okay, okay. And Casey, same question.
There's a lot of laws that are not popular depending on which side of the law you're on. So I have, in fact, been the only candidate here that's been enforcing those laws for over 30 years. And yes, absolutely, we enforce the laws of the state of Washington and the Constitution of the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. Now the representatives and senator position, you get these lightning round questions. Okay, so we'll just, to begin with, we'll start at this end on this question. The stage left to stage right. And the question is yes. Yeah, it did. Yes or no is the question, okay? Is the answer. Yes or no? If the gun bill doesn't pass, but comes to the legislature, would you support it or not?
Define the gun bill. You're talking about
1639, yes.
Yes, I would support it.
No.
No. No. No.
Okay, now we get to start with you on this end, Tim. Okay, do you support the DNR's Natural Resource Conservation Area project in Dewato? Yeah, start with you, Tim.
Absolutely not.
No.
3, 2, 1, red square. Thank you.
No.
No.
I have no idea what that project is.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with you again, James, here. If the carbon tax initiative, and that's 1631, fails at the ballot box and is then brought back before the legislature, would you vote yes or no?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. No. Absolutely not.
Okay, Tim, let's start with you on this one. If the legislature proposes a capital gains tax, how will you vote, yes or no?
I would vote no. I've always opposed a capital gains tax. It will lead to an income tax.
Okay, next.
Can't answer yes or no.
If it taxes the 1% and it goes to education, yes.
No.
Graduated income tax is unconstitutional in Washington State, no.
No, only because of the constitutional issue. I much prefer income taxes over regressive taxes like sales taxes.
Very good, thank you. Okay, here's another one here. This is right up my alley. Do you support proposed construction of small modular nuclear power plants in Washington State?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Absolutely not.
I feel unqualified because I don't have a PhD, but I would support them because we have that same thing in Bremerton on all those Navy ships.
Not in our backyard.
Well, I have a PhD in engineering, and I would not support it, and I have nuclear engineering experience because the waste issue. There are better solutions.
Yes or no?
Yes or no? Okay.
Sorry.
I feel an ontological debate coming on here. Okay, so these are actual questions you don't have to answer yes or no on, but they're separated between positions here, okay? So we'll start out with representative. We'll start with David here and move over. What would you do to create good-paying green work jobs in the 35th Legislative District?
So one of my jobs when I was at... Okay, so one of my jobs at Boeing was I founded the Biofuel Flight Demonstration Project. And we flew an airplane from SeaTac Airport to Washington, D.C. on fuel that was made from wood chips. It's a very green process, nothing like the adage program that was proposed previously. And so I think it would be really cool if we could have a biorefinery process that would be connected to our local and struggling timber mills that would turn wood chips into biofuel that could be used for aircraft or cars, or a biobutanol process that could be used for making plastics. So that's one of the ideas for a green job.
Okay. Same question.
So we can't create a market in which there isn't a demand for it. So let's look where the demand is. And one of those areas is using CNG and LNG, natural gas, either compressed or liquefied. We have some of those facilities in Tacoma. I believe one of the state's roles could be to take the capital budget, help create more of those infrastructures so that we create a system across the state in which our trucking industry and maybe eventually other industries are using one of the cleanest fuels that's out there. Natural gas is again, one of the cleanest burning sources that we can utilize. And to do that, the infrastructure is costly to smaller municipalities, but I think the state can be a leader in that and helping create that and get that going. There is a demand for it.
Thank you. Dan.
So this table is sequestered carbon. The best way to bolster and maintain green jobs in Washington State is to bolster our now flourishing again, timber industry. Make sure that we take old trees that stop sequestering carbon, because the older they get, they stop absorbing carbon. Cut them down, make low-cost housing, put people to work, and sequester quite a bit of carbon. So the best way to do that, there's so many other green jobs that we can do in Washington State, but right now, let's use our asset that we already have.
Thanks. And James.
This is the easiest question all night. Value added to our existing resources, timber, cross-laminated timber. We can certainly do hemp in our agricultural lands. We have companies like Taylor Seafood now who are vertically integrating, and we have lots more room for that. And tourism. We have some of the most beautiful real estate on the planet here. No reason that we shouldn't be the playground of Washington.
Thank you. Okay, so this will be a final question here. I have the separate one for the senator.
Let him run this thing, Drew. Come on.
And I will have a bonus question for the sheriff's office. Okay, so we'll start with you, Irene, and then go to Tim. After recent contract negotiations by the school districts, what should be the state's response if districts have overextended themselves, such as using class size reduction and for large teacher salary increases.
Can you say that again?
Yes. After recent contract negotiations by school districts, what should be the state's response if districts have overextended themselves budget-wise, such as using class size reduction funds for large teacher salary increases?
This is a problem with this McCleary that I was mentioning earlier, is that they have come to an agreement on this McCleary, but they have not said specifically the limitations that the superintendents in the schools actually have. We were talking earlier, someone was about unfunded mandates. You cannot fund something that doesn't have money. So I am very concerned about the situation that we have set up here where teachers are expecting pay raises, where students are expecting new resources, and yet within a year or two, it may totally change their contracts. What is going to happen here? We are looking at a disaster on our hands for our education system here. I think it's a poor, poor decision that our present legislators have made here. They wanted a quick fix on this because they're the McCleary situation. And I think the whole thing is a big, big tornado waiting to happen. So as a teacher and as a parent and as a citizen here, we need to know specifically where this money is going, who's paying what, how we're going to fund it, and for how long.
Well, the problem has been created by the Seattle Democrats, who support my opponent, in putting $1 billion, pulling it out of the rainy day fund, and allocating it to the Washington Education Association. We're not using it for reduced class sizes. Some teachers are getting big raises, some aren't. Some are on strike. First thing I would do, and I've run this bill many times, if you're on strike, you don't get paid. Where in America do you get paid when you're on strike? What teachers do and school districts do is extend the school year. So in Tumwater, they'll be going to school in July. And do you think that they're going to get good days in July from the teachers or the interest of the students and the support of the parents? It won't work. Now, we've worked very hard on a bipartisan way to find a solution that the courts, the Supreme Court, handed to the legislature. And I think it is a fair one. It's not perfect, but it's fair. And there is some regionalization because it costs a lot more to live in Queen Anne Hill than it does in Belfair. So there has to be some type of regionalization across the state. And the WEA has undue power here in Washington State. We have to take the power back to the people, and the taxpayers have to take it. Thank you.
Okay, we have some more questions that have shown up, and these are going to require no yes or no answers. So we'll go back to our timer here for 30 seconds. Get that watch going, buddy. And these are two questions for the Sheriff's Department, or Sheriff's Office. Okay, so let's start with Casey. And the question is, as sheriff, what are your ideas to fix shortfalls in your budget?
Shortfalls in our budget were fixed last year when we were cut $1.5 million in 15 positions in the sheriff's office. We right now are nearly $1 million to $2 million lower than the other sheriff's offices in our comparables. We have made the cuts. We've cut our staffing levels down. We cut our lieutenants last year, and because of those cuts, the safety of the citizens of Mason County are suffering.
Darren.
It's important to understand that if your budget gets cut as people, okay, let's say mom has to go into the nursing home, you've got to fit your life within your means, okay? So complaining and pointing fingers doesn't get the job done. We need to be we need to be more efficient and make sure that we're taking care of you guys, not just the officers in the department.
Stay there, Darren. One more question for both of you. Would either of you publicly announce your position on Initiative 1639, which is the gun bill, before the election?
Absolutely. I do not support it.
I don't support it either.
Thank you. Auditor. Let's see, we'll start with Patty first this time. How do you feel about reducing mail-in ballots to out-of-state voters only and returning to actual polling places where valid proof of citizenship is required to vote?
I would oppose that vigorously. As I mentioned earlier, I was part of implementing vote by mail in Oregon. It is wildly popular. Vote by mail came about in Oregon and Washington because voters migrated to it by becoming permanent absentees. It's what voters want. It's cheaper than polling places. It's safer, and all the safeguards are in place.
Charles. And the question is, what do you feel about doing mail to voters only that are out of state and going back to regular polling places with proof of citizenship or ability to vote?
I would have to oppose that as well. I'm having a problem with the guaranteed mailing at this point. If we are not funded by the state, then I believe that we should either people pay for their own postage or walk across the street to the polling drop boxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have two questions for Judge. And let's start with Eric this time. What happens if the jail is full and someone committed a crime they need to be jailed for?
That is a dilemma. As Sheriff Salisbury said, the jail's been overcrowded since it opened in 1986. Clearly, that's a problem. I'm not trying to be a politician here. What I'm saying is I don't know that that's the judge's job. I don't know that the judge has control. I know that there are contracts to be done, entered into. I think municipal court has 7 beds, et cetera. I know that just yesterday, a commissioner released 2 people to enable the jail to take 1 person into custody. It's a problem. Thank you.
George.
It's an unacceptable problem. And this is something I've been advocating now for many years, both on the criminal justice working team and the Citizens Advisory Group, that we need to do something to fix the jail. Imagine a situation where someone is charged with shoplifting. They don't show up, a warrant goes out for their arrest. They're arrested on the warrant, and it goes over and over again. This has been happening, not because of the malfeasance of the jail, but because there is no room.
Thank you. Okay, I have 2 questions here for Commissioner. And let's start with Kevin this time. Would you please state your ideas on funding a properly sized new jail?
I think one of the greatest opportunities Mason County has right now is to drastically change the amount of dollars coming into Mason County. I don't think we have a spending problem at all, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have an income problem. I think we have a lot of opportunities to make sure to get a lot of action going on. I love Allen Days, Taste of Hood Canal, Forest Festival, Oyster Fest, these things that bring people into Mason County and things that make people that live in Mason County excited to live here. We need to increase our reputation. That's going to bring money here.
Sharon.
So I have an idea, been tossing it around to a few people. Why don't we work with other counties? And we can have, what my idea is to have the county jail in Mason County. We can hire people to work here, but also bring in, or outsource or insource, Mason County, Kitsap County, Grays Harbor, and Thurston County. That way we have the jobs here. We're also building a bigger jail, helping all these other counties because they all have the same problem. We have so many criminals, but we don't have jail space.
Thank you. Okay, so we have actually 3 questions here that are left, 2 for the assessor, 1 for the judge. You guys are really popular tonight. So, I heard you. So this is for the judge position, and we'll start with George on this one. What changes would you implement to make your department and the court more efficient? And how would you implement these things?
First off, I believe the district court is already running on a shoestring. I believe it's already running efficient. And I do believe in something, if something's not broke, you don't fix it. Things like making it more efficient are something that, first off, I'm going to take a good look at how the operations are, whether we can adjust calendars and things along those lines. But I'm not going to suggest specific things till I actually obtain the position, assuming I'm elected.
Thank you. Eric.
I've written publicly on this, and there's my answers to the League of Women Voters questionnaire out there, and I think I know it's one of those questions. Time is the biggest problem. We need to be faster in our hearings. Due process is the most important thing, but in Mason County, in municipal court and district court, it takes 40 minutes to take a plea, when in Grays Harbor District Court in Montesano, it takes 2 to 5. That's all it takes. Also, I've been in court many times in the last 3 weeks. You go in there at 8:30 for a hearing, and you don't get heard till 11:30 because district court has just taken an hour and a half to do warrant quashes for people who fail to appear and protection order hearings. You can fix a lot of that. Thank you.
Thank you. We started with A and we end with A. Assessors. Okay, so this time we'll be starting with you, Melody. What is your opinion of the proposed public benefit rating system?
Public benefit rating system, I think, in my opinion, is a really good idea. Excuse me. We've traditionally made the decisions in our office on who's qualified to apply or not to apply, but who is eligible to receive a reduction in taxes. And sometimes I don't think that our office really has that capability where if you bring in a group of people, then they are able to see this from many other aspects. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty.
I've been reading up on the public benefit rating system. I think for most of it, it's a good idea, but for part of it, it's not. I need to do a lot more research on it. Talking to my boss in Grays Harbor County, they don't implement it down there. So I just wanted to do a little bit more research on it to see where it goes from here.
Stay there, because you get you'll lead off with the last question here. Okay, what steps will you take to get tax statements out to the property owners earlier this year?
Tax statements?
Yes.
Well, tax statements are arrived after the assessment value notices go out, and so once we're done in the assessor's office, they get certified and sent over to the treasurer's office. So if we get the assessments done on time and out early for the taxing districts to return their budgets on time, it'll be over to the treasurer's office on time for them to return their work, so they're out on time.
Thank you. Melody. Yes.
We have been working very, very hard to make sure that we get our inspections done according to the state calendar deadline, and we've been successful the last 2 years. We have, after the inspections are done, there's been a few problems because we're still finishing up our new I won't even call it new software anymore, but the rebuilding of the parcels within the software that was adopted 7-8 years ago. So we've done so much better, and there are many processes and procedures in our office that allow us to come in on time.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. To our candidates, now you can applaud with abandon. And for those of you that are still in your seats, I would like to ask the candidates to applaud you for coming here tonight. Tammy, words of wisdom.
No words of wisdom. I really wanted to just thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm Tammy Newton. I am the Public Information Officer for North Mason Community Voice, and we have been around since 2005. How many have heard of us? I love it. North Mason. So the Voice provides a forum like tonight where individuals can, with respect and civility, don't you love it? We did that tonight. Actually, give them another applause. We did that tonight. we can share information, discuss issues, and talk about things that affect our community. So we are a nonprofit organization organized in the community. Our membership is only $10 for an entire year, and it helps us do things like this. So check us out at nmcommunityvoice.org or find us on Facebook and find out about what we're going to be talking about in October and November. All right. And then, Chris, did you want to come up and say any? I should also thank Chris in the chamber. It's great that we that we had such a great partnership. So thank you for.
Thank you all for being here. Just final counts, we had 192 of you here tonight, and that's a fantastic turnout for Belfair, Northern Mason area. So thank you guys, everybody here. We had all 16 candidates show up, and that was awesome. Thank you so much. Okay.